Factfulness, author Hans Rosling. Do subscribe to Bookstream YouTube channel. Press the bell icon to receive the latest updates on book reviews. A couple of years back, I had an opportunity to watch a video on TED in YouTube, I guess, and that video was about how the countries is getting ahead and how it has been growing through the historical data. The author presents the speaker back then presented a pictorial representation of the progress of certain countries based on population, and it was a really fun video on how the country is being perceived or the people are being informed about the world in general. It made one to think about that the world is itself positive and getting itself better and better with a slow progress. Fast forward to now, the speaker turned author's book, which is Factfulness, is what I have gone through the recommendation by Bill Gates a couple of months back. Again, I got a insight into this particular book of why not to read this particular book, and then started reading this book. There were a couple of questions which has been asked by the author with choices given as answers, out of which one is the right answer. And these set of questionnaires, around 13 in number, was given to various people across the countries, across the world, with different countries, with different background and culture, and even those who represent the countries and famous personalities. Everybody has taken this particular questionnaire, and they have answered in such a way that those answers been calculated accordingly and presented in this particular book about who is right or who is wrong. And almost around 80 to 90% of the people who have given the test have given a wrong answer and failed in a lot of questions. So that itself will question one's reason about how well do we understand the world and what media is giving us the information through its age-old data. Why I am saying is that a lot of countries have been progressing and some are almost in a progressed state. So these countries had a very, very dark history, dark past, lot of factors involving its growth, like population, literacy, electricity, education, women empowerment, and sex education like contraceptives, or even about the usage of internet, and a lot of other informations, air travel. So there are again a lot of these factors which play around that particular country. So whatever information one have to gain out of it is through its own past, that particular country's past data by the United Nations has been compared to that of the present one, by which one can really understand that almost every country is progressing ahead of what it was used to be. And even about the family planning and the contraceptives, about how large families have become nuclear ones, and how this population outgrowth or growth of population, which has been peaked a couple of centuries. After a couple of centuries, it has been peaked now in this current century. So what is going to happen in the future, whether this population growth will be on the rise, or will it reach an end point or a break-even point, become stable for certain years, and then think about like how it's going to change or impact the people and countries in general. So there are a lot of other important things, out of which the author gives these questions. While giving these questions, he also quotes that whatever answer one's going to get, he keeps a threshold out of it. So that threshold itself is that of a chimpanzee's brain, and if one answers are incorrect and falls within the or below the threshold, that means the performance of that particular individual to these set of questions are below that of the brain of that of a chimp. And those who outperform the chimp's threshold are the ones who understand the world better. There are again certain Asian countries as such like South Korea and Japan, to which the author says that culturally they are more more prone towards the reality of what information which has been provided in this book. And he also questions again there should be certain ways of testing it once again, is what is mentioned in the appendices. So there are in the appendix part you can see so many resources which has been provided for the readers. And also in these certain chapters, so whatever the chapters which we are going to read, out of those chapters there are individual set of questions, and these individual set of questions as answered by the most number of people to that of a correct answer is been given, and accordingly those questions and the answers are discussed in depth by what exactly impacts those questions, how the world is going towards a better, uh, by getting itself better, and also how the countries are going in a state of betterness. And even the author shares his own experiences about the past, wherein the author is from the native of Sweden, and how Sweden was 100 or 200 years before and how it is to that of the other countries, where he's saying that each and every economical dependence or interdependence between the people or the citizens of those countries are getting on through the process of educating themselves, and this education itself is leading them to progress in society, and those societies in turn gets progressed with that of the country. So all these information is which is being given by the author is really positive in nature. So after reading this book, there will be certain questions which one need to arise or arrive at. But whatever it is, when the reader who without any sort of uh, curiosity, out of curiosity, if a reader goes and starts reading this book, at the end of this book and after reading this book, one might be very sure that whatever perception he was brought up with or he was fed up through the system, which is by usage of social media or other platforms, will overcome. After reading this book, he will question about the changes which has been happening, and also about the positivity which has been given in this particular book. And it's not so much grim, wherein the future of certain countries or certain things is not so grim in nature, where even the author discusses about the pandemics, like for example he discusses on Ebola virus and how it was spread, and how he wanted to prevent it through constant monitoring about the flow of the virus through the patients. And all these factors in particular is being presented in this book, and he also highlights about what will be the catastrophe of a spread of a new group of virus, which is what we are right now facing in this particular year of 2020, that is the coronavirus outbreak. Sadly, the author is no more, and whatever insights and ideas and whatever information which he has presented through various channels, including that of the presentation given through various media houses like BBC and certain other institutions, academic institutions and organizations in such. All these information are clubbed together, clustered together, and during the end stages of his life, the author suffered from a rare kind of pancreatic disease or pancreatic cancer in general, which is what you call as it's non-treatable one, and having a very less life expectancy. So he rescheduled all his programs and reconsidered on writing this particular book to present the world or the readers about what exactly it means to him in general, to that of the world in particular, for the readers to know and be aware about it and be practically positive with that of the datas or the sources from which the data has been arrived at. So this is what the book highlights about, and I'm very sure that the readers will love reading all these fact-driven information presented by the author. And I hope you enjoyed listening to this particular book. If you're really eager to know more about it, please do try reading this book by Hans Rosling, that is Factfulness, and so that you can have your own perception about what exactly the world is and how exactly it has been improving from its past. His legacy lives on through the company which he developed called Gapminder, and now it's been carried out or taken into consideration from his own family members who are taking care of it. Gapminder also provides a lot of tools in the field of education. It helps teachers to design or to understand certain aspects through a lot of educative resources, educational resources and tools. The author also points out that there are indeed various other factors involved in the extraction of information and data in general. He presents us a lot of insights about the life expectancy of an individual from the past to that of the recent times, to the women empowerment, education of the women, literacy rate, how it is being rising, about the usage of electricity, how the villages and towns or cities are getting electrified by usage of education, through the power of education, how people are confining their family with that of having a smaller nuclear ones, to the past where they used to live with kids ranging from around 4 to 5 in general, and also about the food which has been growing, and the need of food production, the increase in the amount of food production, wherein in the past couple of centuries how it was difficult for people to grow the food, and right now whatever the needs of the human, the food which is being grown is excess in nature than that of the need. All these things brings positive insight, and also helps the reader to hope that the world is not so bad as it is being portrayed to us. For your kind listening, do subscribe to our channel.